welcome back to Add On a Tangent.
Welcome.
I'm Miss Becca.
I'm Miss Erin.
And this is episode 102. And we finally get to talk about archaeology.
I feel like we've been, those last, two, we've been like, wait, we have to save that for the archaeology
Exactly. Like, we've been planning this since the beginning of summer. Technically, summer reading has ended, which I am both sad and glad.
It was busy. It was busy summer.
It's always busy. I always refer to summer reading as library Christmas.
Yes.
Because it is like the Christmas season here. But since we had our unearthed story as our theme, and we couldn't pass up on doing some form of Greek mythology thing for the Odyssey. That's why we were waiting for archaeology for August.
We'll finish up with archaeology.
Exactly.
The last summer reading thing, honestly.
Yes. All right. So, quick rundown. What is archaeology? So, it's the scientific study of material remains left by humans, such as tools and buildings. Okay, but what about mummies? This is from what I understand about looking this up. Mummies are considered a cultural material in that they are both human remains, but combined with cultural burial practices and items. So that's how they fit into archaeology. But there are so many different types of archaeology, which is so cool. So you have underwater, which is materials from bottoms of lakes, rivers, and oceans, especially ships. Or like that time they found the bog butter. Do you know about the bog butter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remind me.
They basically had found like a bunch of old pots and stuff, and this one actually had like butter in it.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone actually tried it, but there's always that one person. Someone made bread with ancient yeast one time, and it worked.
Okay.
Which was crazy. Prehistoric and historic. There we go. These are based on historic periods, so like if you are specifically looking at, say, the 1800s, you might be looking at that, or if you were a Bronze Age archaeologist, you only are looking at things during the Bronze Age. Ethnoarchaeology is study how people use and organize objects today to understand how people used tools in the past. So looking at similar things we use, or how we use certain things, and then how that has evolved over time.
Okay.
Environmental is understanding the environmental conditions that influenced people in the past, like where they lived, what was going on during that, like if there were storms, tsunamis, things like that, volcanoes.
Yeah.
Experimental is replicate the techniques and processes people use to create the use of objects in the past. So these are the guys that figured out how they built Stonehenge by doing it, or the one people that decided to build a Viking boat and then actually sail it across the sea. Those ones.
Very fun.
And then you have forensic archaeologists, and they work with geneticists to support or question DNA evidence. Those, if you've ever watched the show Bones, it's related to that. She is a forensic anthropologist, so kind of more modern. These can actually be used to look at DNA of ancient peoples, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, you want to start us off here?
My special interest is the Otzi Iceman. I love him. So, the Otzi Iceman was found by two tourists in the Tyrolean Ostseal Alps. So that was the space between Italy and Austria.
Yeah.
And this was, I believe, in the 1991. So in consideration not too long ago.
Yeah.
And it was so well preserved that rescuers came up to get this body, and no archaeologists, nothing, and brought it all the way down the mountain, and then realized maybe something is off about this. So they thought it was a recently deceased hiker, but he was actually 5,300 years old.
I think I remember when Otzi was found.
Really?
Yeah, that's how old I am. I remember when Sue was found. I remember when Otzi was found.
But I just think that's crazy. So eventually they got archaeologists in there, and he was so well preserved that they could see his tattoos, his clothing, his hair, and also the meals that were in his stomach. And he also was found with an arrowhead in his left shoulder and a stab stab wound on his hand. So I imagine that he got murdered and bled out on the mountain,
Very
which
possible.
is also kind of fun because, well, it's not fun. Sorry, Otzi, that's not fun.
It's not fun for him, but it's fun for us learning about his people.
Yes. I'm like, who was he running from, and why was he being chased?
Why were you in the mountains?
Right? Okay. So, next page. So, we learned a lot from Otzi. The tattoos, they realized that they might not have just been decorative, but they were also lined up with pressure points, and he had some chronic pain that we could tell from his joints and his bones, and it lined up with that.
So, like, early acupressure, but you're marking it on yourself.
Yeah, so like
that's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
Which, if you know anything about how ancient tattoos are done, kind of makes sense, you know?
So you're really getting stabbed.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're getting stabbed anyway, but it's just how you do it, and then especially if you look at, like, ancient Maori tattoos, which you can still get done today only if you are of Maori descent. I don't know how they do it. Like, that looks painful.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting because I'm like, okay, so they were working on, like, pain relief within the body.
Yeah.
Diet. So they know what food he has access to because of the food that they found in his stomach. So I believe it was, like, red deer meat and some sort of goat. And so they were able to decipher, like, where those animals were from and what he had access to. So he was probably, like, a hunter-gatherer.
Which makes sense considering where he was also found. It shows that he lived in amongst those mountains.
Yep.
Like, that's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Health. So going back to what I said earlier about the tattoos, he had arthritis, he had heart disease, and he had Lyme disease.
I didn't know about the Lyme disease.
Yes, which I when I was doing my research and I found this out because Lyme disease is like just becoming well known in our culture now.
Like at least where it comes from. So
like we're just figuring out like how to treat it and stuff. And he had Lyme disease. That's crazy. So it's kind of like humans have always been, not too healthy.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then his possessions. So his most interesting thing that he had, besides all the clothing, which I have a little picture of in the PowerPoint here, but he had a copper blade, and they traced the copper back to southern Tuscany, which was, I forget how far it was, but it was like 400 miles. That's total guess.
I was going to say, isn't Tuscany part of southern Italy?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was a far distance. For back then specifically.
Yeah, considering he's up in the Italian-Austrian Alps, like he's in that mountain region, and that's all the way like the boot area.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So this led researchers to believe that the trade network was much larger than what they originally thought, and perhaps these people had more contacts than we were aware of.
That's so cool. I remember them making such a big deal about his shoes.
Yeah.
Because these were like the earliest type of foot covering that we had ever found.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just fascinating. It literally just like you have a sole and like twine essentially holding it over.
I believe the bottom of it was made by like dried grass, like hay basically.
Yeah, because it was able to go in the snow. That was the other thing. They were like, it actually insulates.
Yes. Which
was insane. Like we'd never seen anything that insulated from that long ago.
I know, I think that's insane. My other one that I'm super interested in is the white sands footprint.
I had never heard of this. You told me about this one.
Yeah.
This one's cool.
So this is actually in the United States, which I feel like we don't get a lot of very, very old artifacts here.
Not this old, usually. Yep. Like, we're still finding stuff.
Yes.
But yeah.
So the story is 10,000 years ago, a woman or an adolescent male carried a toddler through this muddy area, which is current-day White Sands National Park in New Mexico.
Okay.
And they know this because they analyzed the depth and the size of the footprint.
Okay.
So they could tell when the adult was holding the toddler and like which side based on like how deep the footprints were. They also saw areas where the child was put down and like ran around.
Yep.
And they were also able to decipher their pace. So it was 3.8 miles per hour, which is pretty fast for walking.
Yeah. What were they trying to get away from?
Running from?
Yeah.
Questions. And they noticed the adult slipping a few times. Not like falling, but like just their toes, slipping in the mud.
Yep.
So they presume that it was probably heavily raining.
Okay.
Some sort of precipitation. And then, this is the spooky part, an hour later, they say the adult walks back without the child on the same path.
Were they delivering the child to someone?
Right, so it's maybe he was going to visit the grandparents. Or I hope something didn't happen.
Yeah, but really hoping that child made it.
Yeah, but it was the same exact path the adult walked back the other way.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like they were delivering a child somewhere.
Yeah,
like but I'm really hoping it wasn't
trying to get home.
Yeah.
Yes, but these tracks were also crossed by woolly mammoths and a giant sloth.
Oh.
So
you know how much I love and fear the giant sloth.
Crazy animal.
Which hold on. There's a difference between giant sloth and giant tree sloth. Because the giant tree sloth is significantly bigger than the giant sloth. But the giant sloth is still like the size of a wolf, essentially.
Yep.
Which is terrifying.
Yes. Which the thought of a ground sloth is, I'm like, what?
Yeah. They're weird. That's so cool.
And just like 10,000 years ago, that's so long.
Yeah.
It amazes me. I'd love to see it one day.
That would be really cool to go see that. And like, I wonder if you can. I bet you can't walk on that, but they probably have a path next to it, so you basically can walk their path. Yeah. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm fascinated. I'm just looking at the pictures.
I know, the little, like, I assume these are like the little toddler foot.
But 10,000 years ago, like, is it actually like a foot? I'm wondering if it's a foot or if it's like eroded.
Some sort of shoe.
Yeah, but they had shoes at that point.
I think that it was a foot because they had. I know in my research, I remember they were saying like the toes were slipping.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
So I
don't know if they would have
like
had like a full-on foot cover. 10,000 years ago, was that? That sounds about right. Because the land bridge between Russia and Alaska, that's about when humans were coming over here first. So that makes sense.
All right.
Oh, it gives me chills. I love it.
That's so cool.
All right, so this one's actually a more recent archaeological thing going on. So, people of the podcast, if you remember my weird obsession with Alexander Dumas, that happened last year.
You're back.
Yeah. He wrote The Three Musketeers. There was a fourth musketeer in the book called D'Artagnan. Archaeologists may have found D'Artagnan's bones because D'Artagnan was actually based off of a real musketeer called Charles Sebastien de Castlemore, called Count D'Artagnan, who was a musketeer and a favorite of Louis XIV, who was the Sun King. These bones were found in Maastricht, Netherlands, back in March of this year. So this is very recent. What we know about D'Artagnan, he was killed in the siege of Maastricht in 1673. There is rumored to have been shot in the chest or neck. There was a bullet found in the bones around chest height, and a French coin from around the correct area. And it looks like it was a coin that the bishop who was at the local church would have had. And the area that this church is in is actually in the area where part of the camp was. Oh. So it makes sense that he would have been buried here. And that because he was so favored by Louis XIV, why he was not then shipped back to France, he wanted to make sure he was buried. So the bones were found during repair work on the floor of the St. Peter and Paul Church. Crazy. Now, there's some drama.
Love it.
And this is still ongoing, so we do not have DNA evidence yet. But apparently the archaeologist who was called by the deacon of the church initially did so without a proper permit. And did not dig properly, and may have compromised some of the bones by touching them without gloves. Like, he was digging and like standing on some of the bones, and which makes no sense because this man was the city archaeologist for like 40 years.
Yeah.
So it's like he knows how to do it.
Uh-huh.
But D'Artagnan was also his obsession. This is his holy grail.
Oh, okay. This archaeologist.
Yeah, so I think he got a little zealous.
So excited.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he was arrested.
Oh.
Now released for taking some of the bones and having them tested in Germany, and because he didn't want them to be shipped, so he was personally bringing them back.
But theoretically, he stole them.
Yeah, he since returns the bones because they do belong to the city.
Yeah. Okay.
Any archaeological thing that's found in the city, it's kind of in the city's bylaws essentially that it is owned by the city, so that way it can be properly taken care of and respected.
Yep.
The bones are currently being tested to see if they are a match to descendants of D'Artagnan's father. But this is just nuts. Like, they were repairing tiles in the floor, found the bones. He knew about this retired archaeologist, called him.
Yeah.
He came in, got way too excited.
And I'm wondering, not that I know a ton about like redoing the floor, but if you're just touching the floor and you found bones,
well,
were they digging?
So what happened is there were some of the tiles that were broken.
Okay.
And so I think they were also realizing that the underfloor was also cracked. So I think they were trying to repair in there, and that's how they ended up digging. So I think that's what it was, especially because I don't know how old this church is.
Sure.
But considering he died in like 1670 something,
yeah,
at least 1800, or not 1800, 18th century, rather. I always get my things backwards. But yeah, so this one's still ongoing, and I am just,
that's very cool,
fascinated. And then I wanted to talk about Seneca Village. I found out about this because I listened to a podcast called Stuff You Missed in History Class that's done by NPR. Highly recommend, if you are a history buff, go check it out. Half the stuff I learned is from that. It's where I learned the word defenestration. Very fun word. I love words like that because defenestration literally means to throw out a window. Like, I love very hyper-specific words, especially in other languages.
I'm going to bring that into my
verbiage now. It's a fun word. So this village was located in what's now Central Park in New York City, and it was founded by freed slaves in 1825. The town grew to be a middle-class black community of almost 5 acres. Basically, there was a white farmer who owned a lot of that land, and he was selling it off in pieces. And so black slaves, freed black slaves, was like, can we buy it? And he was like, yeah, go.
Okay.
More than 350 people lived here, and there were even some German and Irish immigrants. So it really was filled with a lot of marginalized people. Yeah. Here's where the problems began. Politicians and newspapers began describing it as a shanty town, and if you've ever heard that word in your history class, it's similar to that, but this is like before the ones that we heard a lot about later on, like in the Hoover area, etc. So they were called shantytown. Residents fought to keep their homes, but in 1857 the city used eminent domain to forcibly remove them. This city then got essentially buried over by the park. Okay. So Central Park was like covering it. Yeah. In 2001, a historical marker was placed in its former location, and there have been many different archaeological excavations at the site. They found many different artifacts documenting their history and the people that lived there. So, like, they found children's shoes, they found old pots and things like that. So they're actively trying to uncover this, make sure that these people are getting recognized. That they existed. Yeah. I don't remember if this is part of the 1610 project. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. That is the project that is basically all about the history of black slaves in America. Okay, cool. I don't remember if this is part of that or not, but it definitely fits the vibe, though. Yeah. It's a really,
Wow.
really cool thing. Like, this is just a tiny portion of that story. So
Yeah.
I highly recommend, if you are interested in that era, go check it out.
And to
It's
have
really
over
cool.
300 people there.
Yeah, and then they just kick them out, and it's like they don't have a place to go.
Yeah.
So the last thing I have here is I found an article that has like the 12 most notable archaeological finds. This is from Art News.
Ooh.
I thought we could look through it.
Okay.
So we have the Moai statues. I love these. I was telling Miss Emma about these. She didn't realize that they're not just heads.
Yes.
And I didn't realize how many of these there were. There are like over 1,000
Oh my goodness.
of these on this island.
Oh wow.
So they're on Easter Island. That's the English name. It's other. I don't know if it's Maori. I think it's Maori. Name is Rapa Nui. But they don't actually, and this is close to Chile. So like that's the other thing. Like because I know it's Moai, I always associate it more with like New Zealand and everything like that.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's so much closer to South America.
Interesting.
Which makes sense. I mean, it's still part of that Oceania kind of thing, but it's so crazy. But they're not just heads. There's actual bodies underneath.
That's crazy.
And I don't understand like how they built these. They're built from like volcanic rock.
Yes. And to have so many.
Yeah.
Like, all of that rock.
And they believed that the eye sockets would have been filled with like white coral and red stones during special ceremonies.
I didn't know that.
These go from like 6 to 30 feet. Some of them were never finished.
Yep.
They think they were built between like 400 and 1500 BC. BC? No, CE. Sorry, wrong one. So CE, Common Era. Basically to honor their ancestors. So it kind of makes me wonder if it's more like their version of tombstones in a way.
Oh, yeah.
Which could make sense for why there are so many.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is awesome. But some of the statues were seriously charred due to a recent volcanic eruption, so they're trying to see how to restore them. Okay. Which is interesting. Dang volcanoes.
I know.
Then we have this. I was gonna say, hold on. We have a Moai head in Animal Crossing, but it's not in the museum. This one is in the museum. The Rosetta Stone.
All roads lead back to Animal Crossing.
Yeah. Well, because I love the fact that the fake version of this is just blue.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it looks like an alien person.
Yeah.
Ooh, now I have an idea for an alien room. I love this thing. This thing is so fascinating to me. So, 2,200-year-old stele, broken off piece of a larger slab, bearing a decree passed by a council of priests in 196 BCE. The reigning king was Ptolemy V, and since it had like a copy of the decree, it had hieroglyphics, cursive Egyptian, and ancient Greek. So it's the same thing in several different languages. Yeah. So it's like when we see on tags or signs that it has English, Spanish, French, that kind of thing.
Yep.
It's exactly like that. And that's what finally led archaeologists to understand ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Like, that's what finally got it.
Very, very cool.
Which is why I love the fact that there's a language program called Rosetta Stone. Like, it all leads back to that. Yep. And it's so cool. So it was found near the town of Rashid or Rosetta on the Nile River in northern Egypt. That's why it's called the Rosetta Stone. And they are actively trying to, the Egyptians are trying to get the British Museum to return it back to them. We'll see how that goes, because we all know about the British Museum and holding on to things. The Benin bronzes. Have you ever heard of these?
I've never seen that.
So this picture is of a leopard. They're a group of objects that were plundered in 1897 from the Kingdom of Benin, which is present-day Nigeria. There were like more than 5,000 objects, figurines, sculptures, ivory masks. Really, really cool. But of course, it was a Brit that came along. And yeah, to avenge the deaths of some of the people that were there, they were sent to steal artifacts from the kingdom.
Gotcha.
That's how the British Museum ended up with those. There's been a lot of controversy over the return of these objects, but there is a really cool comprehensive online database called the Digital Benin, so you can actually go and look at that.
Oh, that's cool.
So
I know what I'm doing after this.
Yeah. My God, that was one of my favorite things during the shutdown, during the pandemic, was museums having so many digital walkthroughs or things so you could like have close-up views of things.
Yeah.
I
They did a great job with that.
loved it. The Dead Sea Scrolls. These are crazy. I remember them being such a big deal when I was, I want to say around 10, something like that, because I think they had found a couple more in the same area, and that was insane. So these were found along the Dead Sea in a bunch of caves, and they're ancient Jewish manuscripts from the 3rd century BCE to the 1st century CE. So there's a whole bunch of them. More than 800 documents, animal skin papyrus, forged copper. They were found by shepherds in 1946.
Oh my gosh.
And oldest surviving manuscripts of entire books that were later included in the Christian Bible. And it's just insane. And they're still finding new things on them. They think it was a specific Jewish sect.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And those are on display at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. So they're not always on view because they're very, very fragile.
I bet.
The Anglo-Saxon ship burial at Sutton Hoo. This is cool. I love this particular picture because it's a
got the little
mask, but it has like a little mustache on it too. I love it. That one's a replica, but this is a medieval burial mound at Sutton Hoo, in Suffolk, England, and there's like an 86-foot long ship. Wow. There was a burial chamber. There were so many artifacts all over the place from everywhere that these Anglo-Saxons would have been. I can't speak.
Yeah.
This one's really, really cool just because of the different artifacts that are there. So if you like those ones are at the British Museum, but since they were actually found in that country, makes sense. That's okay. I'm going to skip that one because there was another one that I really wanted to get to.
Yeah.
Where did it go? Oh, I've talked about King Tut. If you want to do more King Tut, head over to our...
we didn't touch on any, ancient Egyptian.
I know.
I love ancient Egypt.
We can totally do an ancient Egypt one. The Aztec calendar. This, I think, was the other one that I really wanted to look at. So it's a calendar stone. And just the fact that it's a giant stone that they put a calendar on. It's 12 feet in diameter, 3 feet thick, weighs roughly 50,000 pounds, but it was actually more of an altar, not necessarily a calendar.
Okay.
But it has the entire solar year on it, so it kind of makes me think of when we put, the constellations on stuff. Yeah. So it is a calendar, but it's not a calendar. Yeah, that's kind of what I think about.
Okay.
But it was buried under President Mexico City, and it was found during construction.
Yeah.
Oh no, my page.
I think we're having some technical difficulties.
There we go.
Yay.
Come here. There we go. The page did not want to load.
Oh no.
Okay, I think the page.
That's okay.
Okay. Oh. Maybe. But yeah, there's so many. I love archaeology. I originally wanted to be an archaeologist when I was 5, mainly because of Indiana Jones. But then realizing he was not a nice person.
Well, you'd be better than Indiana.
Yeah. Because I was very much like, okay, I understand that it belongs in a museum, but it belongs in a museum in its own country.
Yeah.
I understood that later on. And just the history that they put into those movies made me really excited about history and stuff, so I really wanted to get into it.
Yeah.
But then I found out that you kind of need to know some chemistry, and I don't like chemicals.
I think, right, I think that if I could go back, I was really close to getting an anthropology minor.
I
was
could see you do
one
that.
class away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could totally see you do that.
I grew up watching Oak Island with my dad.
Ooh.
Like, that was our thing. And they still haven't found anything, so we've since stopped. But, that's
You
part
never
of it.
know. You never know.
True.
My dad dragged me from, okay, so I grew up in Indiana. I went to, oh my gosh, Fort Ouiatenon in around the Lafayette area, all the way to, we've been to Ticonderoga, Saratoga, I've been to Williamsburg, I've been to Gettysburg. If it involved either the Revolutionary War or the Civil War, I've probably been to it. I got dragged around a lot as a kid, but I wouldn't change it, because even though, like, there were definitely times where I'm like, it's another war place.
Yeah.
So there was usually something I could find.
Yep. Yep.
So it was fascinating. But yeah, and we have so many cool books on archaeology. I know one of my favorites downstairs in the children's department is accidental archaeology, all about finding those things.
Yes.
I think it's King Edward the Fifth. He's the one that was found under the parking lot. Yeah. So that should hint at what kind of things you're finding
everywhere.
there. Yeah.
You can find anything.
Yes, it's so cool. But yeah, that's just kind of our itty bitty deep dive into.
Yes.
Well, I guess it's not a really deep dive, but you know what I mean.
Okay.
All right.
Do we have anything coming up for children? I know in teen we have a Worry Doll program in September to make little dolls.
Oh no.
What?
I don't know if our program closed. I don't know where Audacity went. No, our sound. No, that's voice meter. That's just the microphone. Did it close on us? I was recording. Oh no.
It's okay. We got on camera.
Okay, as long as we have sound somewhere. Oh no, this is going to be the episode.
It's the curse of archaeology.
Tutankhamun has come back. We didn't even talk about him. That's why. Oh well. Okay. No, I don't think we have anything because we're kind of on our break at the moment. But things are coming back at the end of September. But D&D is going to be starting up before that. Wednesdays are going to be one shot. We're calling them one shot Wednesday. So if you're kind of more beginner, that's a good time to sign up for that. The Thursday group is going to be kind of our normal setup, but we're doing it 2 weeks a month back to back, making it a little bit easier. And we're stopping before Christmas so we don't have all these holiday shenanigans.
Exactly.
I think that's really it at the moment.
Yeah, for September.
Yeah.
Very good. Everybody's back to school, so.
Yeah. Hope you guys have a great first day of school.
No.
Hope everyone stays safe.
Yes, have fun. Or well.
Don't get sick. Wash your hands. Yeah,
Okay.
I think those are like things.
Yeah.
And if you have ideas for the podcast, please let us know. We have a little suggestion box up in Teen. You can always just tell us or email us. Yeah, easy ways.
Okay. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.